Hi there guys, and welcome to another look at the latest issue, and this one is 149. I'm Darran Jones, the editor.
And I'm Drew C, the production editor.
And here's our awesome cover. As you can see, we're going Star Wars crazy because the new film is out very, very soon. You excited about that?
I literally cannot contain my excitement. My voice does not do it justice, but I go to bed thinking about it and everything.
I'm not a big fan of J.J. Abrams. I think he's more a competent director, but he seems to be stroking all my buttons with that, so I'm looking forward to it. So we got a quick look at the Play Expo. Micro Machines is coming back, and there's a bit of a football war going on at the moment, isn't there?
Oh, yeah.
Kickoff and what's the new name for Sensi? Sociable Soccer.
Sociable Soccer, that's sorry.
The Sociable Soccer was a little too late this month, so we'll have more news on it in our 150th issue. So moving on, we've got Monster Finger Games, who make a lot of new games in an old style, like Spy Hunter. We got some new cool stuff to buy, December 98. So let's move on to the first feature, and obviously Star Wars.
Yeah.
So basically, it's an ultimate guide to the first game. We've got
game.
yes,
Yeah.
so, well done. Basically, we've got an interview with Mike Halley, who also appears later on in the mag, and we've also spoken to three guys who did conversions, because Star Wars actually had some really cool conversions across all the various home systems, and as you can see, they're in there as well. And the other thing we've been working on is a list feature, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we're quite pleased with this, and this will kind of give you an indication, because we've got a big, huge list feature for next issue 150.
Massive.
And what we wanted to try and do is we wanted to do something a little different from the norm, didn't we?
Yeah. I mean, you can just have a paragraph saying how good a game is, can't you? So we wanted to do something a little bit different.
And you know what the games are, aren't you? I mean,
yeah,
it's not as though nobody knows what the original arcade Star Wars was. So yeah, so we've had a little bit more fun. There's a little bit more on the pages, little different directions, so it gives you a good indication of what we got planned for next issue. Atari Lynx.
Yeah.
I used to take one of these into the cinema.
Yeah.
And I'd be there playing it like this, lifting it up so everybody could see I had the links, because I was that sort of asshole.
Well, someone had to show it off, didn't they?
But they're like gigantic, because this one, I remember you being quite surprised by the size of it.
Well, yeah, you brought it in. I was like, it looked like, because I'm quite small, and it looked like I was holding like literally a dish plate or something.
And that's a revised edition as well.
Yeah,
so,
come on.
So moving on, we've got some cool 8-bit features. We've been trying to get a Saboteur piece for, well, ages and ages and ages. And Clive Townsend's originally finally agreed to basically go through everything with us. And
it's actually quite good.
Yeah,
believe it.
It's a really cool game. Fantastic Dizzy, because obviously Wonderland Dizzy was released, so we've been getting back into the Dizzy stuff. Okay then, so the big feature we're looking at for company profile is Acclaim, and they've been actually around since the late 80s, and they did sadly go under. They did a lot of things like Mortal Kombat, but they're probably best known for towards the end of their life. They were getting a little bit desperate for sales and trying to stay on top, and they were coming up with all sorts of crazy
sponsoring gravestones, the adverts that oozed blood.
Yep, they did BMX Triple X, which was an absolutely terrible
oh god,
game.
yeah.
And there was the whole Turok baby.
Oh yeah, if you do know a teenager called Turok.
Or if you are that person who was called Turok, so your parents could get, what was it? $10,000 to name you Turok. So you should have got that money off your parents, but also get in touch with us and let us know, because we'd love to hear from you.
About your dinosaur slaying antics, obviously.
Moving on, the game series. Now, this was really popular mainly on the 8-bit computers. I think it started off on like the C64 and the Atari 8-bit. There was a couple of console ones as well. California Games was really good on the Master System, and a few 16-bit versions.
It's the game you showed me on the links as well.
Yeah.
really
California Games.
Good.
And so this basically looks at the entire history of the series, and it explains why some of the game series that you think are game series, but they aren't. And it explains why they're not included. So, and also we've got every single event, which is pretty cool. So as you can see, that's a lot of joystick waggling. Moving on, we've got Thunder Force 4, which is a really good shooter if you've not played it. That's courtesy of Games You Love.
Speaking of joysticks, got the first analog console, is it? So one of the first.
Is it? Yeah, it's one of the earliest.
I mean, it was the.
You're thinking of the
Interton.
Yeah. The German console we did, but this is basically the predecessor to the Magnavox Odyssey. I think in America it was actually called the Magnavox Odyssey 2, but they renamed it over here. And I mean, one of the things that's interesting with this console is that all the actual cartridges had numbers instead of actual names of the games. So they did have named games, but they thought it made more sense to just put a number on the cartridge.
Yeah.
Rather than say that this is Casey Munchkin, which seems ludicrous now, but there you go.
Nick brought it in and went, Drew, do you want a good game of game number 2?
And it had one of these really crappy keyboards as well.
Oh, the membrane type.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah. So it's an interesting experiment, but we managed to get a hold of one of the guys involved with making it, so that's pretty cool. Did you play this, Pursuit Force?
No, I didn't, and I wish I did.
It's really good. It's basically like a kind of cross between Spy Hunter and Chase HQ. And I mean, it did well enough to get an actual sequel, which I've not played, although I have got in my pile of shame. But yeah, it's a really good arcade-style shooter, and I think this is the first significant PSP game we've covered.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely.
Moving on, we've got Walker. This was basically by the guys who made Lemmings and GTA, and it's quite an unusual shoot 'em up because unlike many other shooters of the time, it actually goes from right to left rather than from left to right.
Caught me off guard,
And
man.
the control system's quite weird as well because again, you use the mouse to like move your walker's head around,
Yeah.
and then walking's done on traditional keyboard or joystick. And but it works really well, and there's a lot of humour in the game because all the actual guys are really itty bitty, and you can just basically shoot them up, shoot them from the sky, and things like that. And again, it's an Amiga exclusive, and it's always nice to get Amiga stuff into the magazine. Moving on, Virtua Cop, basically the arcade version, which is really cool. And then Half-Life, which is, well, it's nearly 20 years old, which is
It's
quite
insane to
surprising.
think that, actually, yeah.
So what we've managed to do is we managed to speak to various developers who worked on the game as well as first-person shooter experts like Randy Pitchford just to basically give their opinions on it. And that's turned out really well.
Yeah.
We're praising you because basically the GameCube is now officially retro. It's 2 generations old. It's been knocking around for nearly 15 years. So we've got a Minority Report this issue, but later on next year, I'd imagine probably about September, we'll look at doing an actual retro inspection piece on the actual machine itself. But just to give you a heads up.
Get ready, guys.
Staying on with the newer stuff, we've got the... Did you have one of these, the GunCon?
No, I had a G-Con 2 for my PS2 actually, but my mate next door had one, and I would always go around and be like, "Can we play Point Blank, please?"
Because it was mainly because it was Namco's own. It wasn't an actual third-party official product. It was official, but obviously it was theirs as opposed to something Sony pushed. So it wasn't compatible with some of the older games, which was a bit of a pain. As I mentioned earlier, this is our Mike Halley interview. He's best known for Star Wars, but
he did a hell of a load of arcade games like Firefox, Indiana Jones. Well, no, Indiana Jones.
Yeah, Firefox was a good one because it was the. I only played it a few times because it was all like Laserdisc, and apparently he said that they were kind of making up as they went along because the technology was so difficult to get your heads around.
He's a great interviewee. You like that?
Yeah, it's really interesting. F355 Challenge, which is a Dreamcast stroke arcade game by Yu Suzuki, I think. I'll have to check with Nick, but I'm pretty sure it was Yu Suzuki.
Tell you.
And then reviews, we've got Rise of the Tomb Raider, which is a decent game, but it's not a Tomb Raider game by any stretch of the imagination. A couple of other games, including Divinity, BlazBlue, Legend of Zelda, which is notable for being the worst Legend of Zelda game I've ever played. And otherwise, Homebrew. And that's pretty much the lot for the issue.
Yeah, and we'll see you for...
let's talk about this.
Happy birthday.
So, we got basically, earlier on in the year, we asked you what your greatest games of all time were. We've now compiled that into a ridiculous mega list. We've spoken to loads of developers. It's going to have loads of interview content. We've got lots of other cool features as well, but you'll have to wait until next issue to find out what they are. So, I'm Darran Jones.
I'm Drew Sleep.
And we'll see you very soon, guys. Take care.
Bye.